Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Bynum. This is my first time at trying to do a video for you for science. So this is a Mohs hardness scale experiment, and it's an activity that you can actually do at home if you have these things at your house. I happen to have a mineral kit that I did purchase at the school supply place that has lots of minerals in it. I think there's 15 here. And it happens to have some of the ones that we need today. I also bought a rock kit there, and they weren't that expensive, but I've really enjoyed having them. If you would like to purchase those, you can. It is not required, but I like having stuff like that on hand to be able to show you. So today, this experiment, I'll send it out in an email so that you can do this if you want to. We need several minerals, and these are the only ones that I had that this experiment called for. Also need my fingernail, which is here, of course, the copper, which I have a penny here for us, and then steel. This is not really a steel nail, but I think it's supposed to be a steel, represent steel. So the what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of try to show you, and I also have a little magnifying glass, and these things came with my kit. The penny came with the kit. The nail did, and the little magnifying glass. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can see what kind of or how hard these minerals are. So we're going to start out with the fingernail test, and the first mineral that we're going to look at is calcite. And this is a piece of calcite. Now, I'm hoping you can see this. So it's very beautiful. It's got some, if I had to describe it, you can tell it has a shiny luster because it's reflecting light. I hope you can see that, how it's reflecting the light. And the color is really pretty. It's kind of got an amethyst color and a little bit of a clear color here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingernail and I'm going to try to scratch this with my fingernail. Now remember that if it is harder than my fingernail, it won't scratch. So I'm trying very hard to scratch it. And then I'm going to look at this to see if actually, and it shows that actually it did scratch a little bit right there. See how the scratch is on? I hope you can see that. There is a scratch on there from my fingernail, okay? So I'm going to put a check here because actually my fingernail did scratch it, okay? So that means it is softer than my fingernail, which my fingernail on the scale is 2.5. So it's softer than my fingernail. All right, so let's see if we can scratch it with a penny just because we want to do our experiment. So I'm going to try to scratch it with the penny. Okay. And I'm hoping you'll be able to see that, but I'm going to scratch it a little bit here. It shows, I do see a little scratch with the penny there. I don't know if you're able to see that or not through the magnifying glass. It's not very clear, but it does, the copper, it does, the penny does scratch it because, and then also I'm going to try with the nail. Oh, wow. It scratched very easily with the nail. I hope you can see that scratch right there. I'm hoping, let me see if I get them on the camera here. You see, I hope you can see that scratch right there. There's a scratch right there. So yes, it does. So it shows you that calcite is softer than actually all of these things. So it's softer than my fingernail. Okay. All right. The next mineral we're going to look at is pyrite. Okay. And this is what pyrite looks like. And it is kind of, it has a little bit of shine to it. Some of it is kind of dull. And it's, when I touch it, it feels like stuff is coming off on my fingers. So we'll see what happens. Even a piece of it just broke off a little bit. So let's see what happens when I try to scratch it with my fingernail. Well, nothing is happening. There's nothing happening there. So it is not, the pyrite is not scratched. I cannot scratch it with my fingernail. All right, so let's try with the penny, okay? And actually nothing happened there either, okay? So let's try with the nail and see what happens, okay? I'm going to try really hard to scratch it with the nail, and I am not doing any good here with the nail. I can't see any scratches whatsoever that I made. So I'm going to show you this a little bit if I can show you with the magnifying glass. I don't know how clear this is, but there are no scratches on this pyrite at all. So on the pyrite, that means that the pyrite is harder than my fingernail, it's harder than copper, it's harder than steel. So it's higher than 5 on our Mohs hardness scale. And quartz is another thing they wanted us to try to scratch with. And the only thing I have is this one, and the quartz is supposed to be a 7. So let's see if it scratches it. I'm going to try really hard. Okay, now boys and girls, there is no scratch on that at all, okay? So even with the quartz, the pyrite doesn't scratch, okay? All right, so our last one that I do have for our experiment is talc. Now, if you remember, if you've noticed on our scale, talc is supposed to be the softest. And when I rub the talc, it even kind of feels powdery a little bit on my finger. All right, so I'm going to try to scratch it with my fingernail, okay? And, I don't know if you're able to see that or not, but there is a scratch there, okay? So I can scratch it with my fingernail, okay? And I'm going to try to scratch it with the penny. So I'm going to put it on the other end just so we can kind of see the difference. I'm going to try to scratch it with the penny. Oh, wow, that was very easy. I definitely put a scratch on there with the penny, okay? So right now I already know that talc is going to be softer than my fingernail. And then we can try with the nail if we need to, but we really don't have to because we already know how soft this is. But yes, it does scratch it with this. So boys and girls, what I want you to see is this. If you can scratch something with your fingernail, that means it's less than 2 or 2.5 on your Mohs scale of hardness. If you can't scratch it, we tried all of these things. So that means that pyrite is actually even harder than 5. It's higher on our scale. Okay? So calcite and talc both are softer. I hope you enjoyed this experiment. This might be something you want to try at home if you find a rock or a mineral. You might want to try these tests. It's very simple. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.